Good to go? All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Brampton City Hall. I'm Graham McGregor, your MPP for Brampton North and the newly minted Associate Minister of Auto Theft and Bail Reform. Today, we'll be hearing from several esteemed leaders, namely His Worship, Mayor Patrick Brown, Brampton's own Minister Prab Sakaria, Minister Kinga Surma, who, although the minister is from Etobicoke, she did an excellent job competing last summer in the Brampton Dragon Boat Race at Professor's Lake. And of course, the Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, and a true champion for Brampton. We're also joined by Brampton West MPP Amarjot Sandhu, Minister Charmaine Williams, the MPP for Brampton Centre, and a host from City Council, namely Councillors Power, Keenan, Santos, and Deputy Mayor Singh. We're joined by the TRCA CEO John McKenzie, and I saw Brampton Board of Trade President J. Paul Massey Singh here as well. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Today is a very, very good day. Here in Brampton, we know that we haven't always gotten the love that we deserve from other levels of government, but that all changed under Doug Ford's leadership. Whether you look at healthcare, transportation, the economy, or the announcement that he's making today, this is a Premier that believes in Brampton, has invested in Brampton, and I got to tell you, Premier, our residents love you for it. While not spoiling anything, announcements like today are made possible through strong levels of collaboration. Our 5 Brampton MPPs are united, and we make a lot of noise down at Queen's Park. And we're blessed to be able to work with Brampton Council to get things done. Brampton's council is energetic, capable, and they know how to play on a team. I want to thank them not only for this announcement, but for all the work that we continue to do together. It's an honor to serve with you. I'd be remiss if I didn't double down on those comments regarding Brampton's head of council, but let's hear it from him. Please join me in welcoming His Worship, Mayor Patrick Brown.
Well, thank you, Minister McGregor. And may I just say congratulations on your appointment, and we know you're going to do great work in regards to bail reform and auto theft. It's an honor to be here today for this special announcement and to welcome the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, who's been a great friend to the city of Brampton, our Infrastructure Minister, Kinga Surma, who we keep on giving more projects to work on, and of course, Brampton's very own Prab Sakaria, MPP Amarjot Sandhu, and Minister Williams. It's great to have Team Brampton here for this provincial announcement. And of course, from our City Council, we've got our Deputy Mayor Harkirat Singh, Councillor Vasante, Santos, Keenan, and Power. And we're excited about this project. And I want to thank the Premier for being laser-focused on housing. And what he is going to announce today is really a creative way to build housing. Brampton is complicated, and we are committed to transforming our downtown. But our downtown, like many old communities and old downtowns, has challenges that come with it. We want to hit out of the park our housing target the province has given us of 113,000 homes, but it needs to start with our downtown as well. This is the heart of the city. And since the 1820s, we've had some significant challenges with flooding in our downtown because of the impact of the Etobicoke Creek. During the mid-1900s, Brampton experienced a series of devastating floods. To protect the area, the city and the Conservation Authority built infrastructure to improve drainage and stormwater in 1952. The infrastructure continues to function and manage drainage and stormwater to protect the city from flooding, but not to the level that allows us to build housing in the downtown. And there's just so much potential here, so much opportunity to build housing. But the influence of the Etobicoke Creek has limited residential and commercial development in our downtown. So this is an opportunity to unlock that potential. But funding was needed to support this improvement to drainage and complete infrastructure. And it's not cheap. Improving the infrastructure to handle those potential floods, to enable new housing, is a significant cost, and we needed partners with the provincial and federal government to make this possible, to improve the city's overall stormwater system. The outcome of this project will really be a game changer for our downtown and housing. And just to put this into context, the plan the city put out called Riverwalk, which was about enabling economic development in the downtown, when completed, will unlock 3.6 million square feet of residential, commercial, and retail space in the downtown of Brampton, creating more than 23,000 jobs and a 1.4 billion impact on gross domestic product, including 12,900 new homes. And one thing that I love about the Premier is anytime you take to him an idea that really can move the city forward and build housing, he sinks his teeth into it. He starts speaking to the civil servants, making sure, and his caucus and his ministers to make sure they can be part of this. And once again, the Premier has come through for the City of Brampton, stepping up to make sure we have the funding for this critical project. And I have to say, Graham McGregor, you were like a pit bull on this, harassing colleagues at Queen's Park, and thank you for that. And I know our local councillors, this was their biggest project in the downtown, the 4 local councillors wanting to make this happen. Our downtown needs some tender, loving care, and part of the challenge was this needed infrastructure work. And so this enables us to rip the bandage off and build a great downtown that includes housing. You want to see busy shops, busy restaurants. You need people. You need housing for young people. We're one of the fastest growing cities in the country. We need housing for those new residents, and this announcement helps unlock that. So to the Premier, I've said a few thank yous over the last year at different announcements, but I want to say thank you again for being a great friend to the City of Brampton.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Mayor Brown, for being here, Council, my colleagues as well. It's wonderful to be here in Brampton alongside Premier Ford and my caucus members as we take another step forward in our plan to support residents across Ontario. Our government understands the importance of building our province to meet the demands of our growing population, and here in Brampton is no different. We need to do all we can to support the next generation of young people, families, and small businesses. And I am confident today's announcement will do just that. Our government also knows that the demands of a growing population cannot be met without the transportation infrastructure to support it. Under the leadership of Premier Ford, I'm proud to say that we have made countless investments to connect commuters across the region, such as declaring the Hazel-McCallion Line's extension project into downtown Brampton as a priority transit project. The Hazel-McCallion Line and its extension will serve as a vital link and connect thousands of commuters in Brampton to better jobs, housing, and new opportunities. And this year, we supported Brampton's transit with $21 million through the annual gas tax program. This will help expand service, increase routes, purchase new vehicles, and improve accessibility to increase transit ridership. But that's not all. We're also building the much-needed Highway 413. This critical highway will connect drivers and communities from York, Peel, Halton regions, tackling gridlock throughout the GTA, giving people back more time to spend doing what they love. Just like today's announcements, these are crucial investments that will enhance Brampton's connectivity for generations to come. A strong Brampton is one we know that will play a critical role in driving Ontario's economy forward and transforming the City of Brampton as a whole. And with that, I will turn it over to my colleague, Minister Surma, who has been an excellent champion for the City of Brampton. Thank you very much, Minister, and over to you.
Thank you, Minister Sakaria, for the introduction, and good morning, everyone. I'm pleased to be here in Brampton today with Premier Ford, Minister Sakaria, Minister McGregor, Mayor Brown, local representatives to share some exciting news about the progress our government is making to build Ontario and unlock new housing for communities across the province. Infrastructure connects people to their families and friends and the essential services they rely on every day. To keep pace with the province's fast-growing population, we know that we must maintain and expand Ontario's infrastructure to protect Ontario's standard of living. That's why our government is making targeted investments to deliver on key infrastructure priorities like building more homes, expanding transit, and improving recreational infrastructure in communities across Ontario. In fact, we're investing more than $20 million to support community and recreation services right here in Brampton, like the Chikuzi Wellness Center and the new Archdeacon Park pedestrian bridge over Etobicoke Creek, which will help improve safety and active transportation for Brampton residents. We know that building Ontario also means building more homes, and new homes should not be built or approved without access to clean water, wastewater, and stormwater systems. In fact, there are communities across the province that would like to approve new housing, but need to address their water capacity issues first. We heard from municipalities that replacing, repairing, and expanding pipes and treatment facilities was a huge financial burden as they looked for ways to build more homes. Mayor Brown spoke to this. That's why we are providing municipalities with more than $1.9 billion in infrastructure funding that was announced in our last budget. We awarded $970 million through the first intake of our Housing Enabling Water Systems Fund to help municipalities develop, repair, rehabilitate, and expand local water infrastructure systems to unlock 511,000 more homes across Ontario. In response to the high demand for this program, our government is investing an additional $250 million to launch a second intake, allowing more municipalities to apply for funding to support their local water needs and enable even more housing opportunities. We are currently accepting applications until November 1st under the second intake, and I encourage all eligible municipalities to apply. While water infrastructure is essential in getting more homes built, we know that other infrastructure upgrades are also necessary to accommodate growth. In order to address this, we recently launched the core servicing stream under our infrastructure program. This stream will provide municipalities with $400 million to build, maintain, and repair core assets like roads, bridges, and new culverts to connect new homes with reliable roadways and other municipal assets. Applications for funding under this core servicing stream are also now open and will be closing on October 18th. As you can see, the province is stepping up to ensure municipalities have the support they need to grow in a responsible way. Together with our municipal partners, we'll get the job done. Thank you, and now let's invite the Premier to the podium.
Well, first of all, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Kinga, for that introduction. And I'll tell you, it's great to be back in the beautiful city of Brampton. Mayor, I think I'm here every single week, probably twice a week, but it's always great to be back here alongside Minister Surma, Minister Sarkaria, Associate Minister Williams, Associate Minister McGregor, MPP Amarjot Sandhu, and the CEO of TRCA, John McKenzie. And John, please pass on my thanks to everyone for doing a great job at your facility there. And Graham, before we even begin, I want to thank you for taking on the role of Associate Minister of Auto Theft and Bail Reform. Thank you. And this is such an important issue for our constituents here in Brampton, but everywhere across Ontario as well. I know you're going to do a great job fighting auto theft and helping to keep more repeat violent criminals in jail where they belong. So thank you for your work, my friend. I also want to give a big thank you to Mayor Brown. You know, I was running through my schedule, and I'm not blowing smoke here. We have 444 municipalities. We get along with probably all of them. Some have better relationships, and I told someone last night, I wish I had 443 other mayors like Mayor Brown. And don't get me wrong, we have great mayors, great relationships. But Patrick, you're an absolute champion. You have an incredible council. And very seldom do you see that. I have an opportunity to travel around the province, and they have a tight group of councillors, all know each other. All my MPPs in Brampton, they all know each other. So what a great team here in Brampton. And when we all work together and work collaboratively and work shoulder to shoulder, there's nothing that we can't get done. And I also want to thank your staff here. We can't move without the staff. So thank you to all the staff that works here at City Hall for hosting us today and for being such a great partner to our government. As others have already mentioned, Brampton is growing faster than it's ever grown before. Folks, when I moved here 35 years ago, and I was here for 5 years, I remember the 410 wasn't in, and I think the population was about 150,000. Compared to where we're at now, it's absolutely astonishing. In fact, it's the fastest growing big city in the entire country. And thanks to the hard work of the mayor and council and their staff, thanks to our province's competitive business environment, the city is attracting billions of dollars in new investments and jobs in the auto sector, in the tech and manufacturing sector. And actually, Mayor, you have to join me up to the Stellantis plant up there. I just got an invitation, so I'll tell you when we're going, and the great folks up there too. But while this growth is just incredible, we have to work to do the best we can to make sure that we build the infrastructure needed to support this growth and ensure it's sustainable for generations to come. We can't make the same mistakes that previous governments made when they refused to invest in infrastructure and our province's growth. Folks, we're investing over $200 billion, no matter if it's in infrastructure on roads and highways and bridges, on infrastructure when it comes to transit, schools and hospitals. We took a different approach than the previous government. Our government is planning for the future with the most ambitious plan to build in Canadian history. Ministers Surma and Sarkaria already spoke about the investments we're making in community and transportation projects. In healthcare, we're investing $50 billion on more than 50 hospital projects across the province, including by bringing a new hospital with a 24/7 emergency department to Brampton, and I can assure the people of Brampton, every level of government, and working with their staff, we are just all over this on a daily basis. We're also building the brand new TMU Medical School at the Bramley Civic Center. That's going to be state of the art. In education, we're investing $16 billion to build, repair, and expand schools, including new schools in Brampton to support the growth we've seen here in Brampton. And friends, we're working closely with our municipal partners, laying the groundwork to tackle Ontario's housing supply crisis. Back in February, I joined Mayor Brown here at City Hall to deliver a big $25.5 million check from the Building Faster Fund, a $1.2 billion program that rewards municipalities for reaching annual housing targets. Municipalities like Brampton can use this money for infrastructure projects to lay the groundwork for more housing. In addition, as Minister Surma mentioned, last month we announced the first round of investments from the Housing Enabling Water System Fund, a total of $970 million. That will help build more than 500,000 homes across 60 municipalities. And today, I'm thrilled to announce that this first round of funding includes $29.7 million for the City of Brampton to enhance its stormwater management system. This money will help the city upgrade 600 meters of the Etobicoke Creek to improve the flow of stormwater runoff and floods. And once complete, will help Brampton get almost 13,000 new homes built faster. It's an important step towards achieving Brampton's Riverwalk project. It will help revitalize the city's downtown core and support the growing population and economic growth taking place across the region. Friends, it's so important that we get shovels in the ground for new homes in every part of this province. And Mayor Brown, we're going to keep working with you nonstop and all the mayors across the province to build the housing enabling infrastructure you need to meet and exceed your housing targets and to bring the dream of home ownership into reach for more people. We're going to get it done. Once again, I want to thank you all for joining us, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you so much.
We will now go to reporters' questions. Reporters, please line up at the mic behind me. Please identify yourselves by name and outlet. It'll be one question, one follow-up. First reporter.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Premier. This is Nitin Chopra from Prime Asia.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Question is for the break and enters. So we have seen the armed robberies during the night time. We have seen the violent armed robberies during the midnight time, and residents are worried. Question is, if criminal has the rights, and they have all the rights here, and why don't homeowners, when they get these armed robbers nowhere in the midnight, and they don't have the rights, homeowners don't have the rights, why can't the government bring some legislation to give more rights to the homeowners so that they can defend and protect themselves from these armed criminals, where this is a very serious concern of the residents, and it is in front of you. So residents need a legislation, and this is the demand of the police also. When we talk to the police officers, they need to protect themselves. They can't shoot the intruders. They can't hurt the intruder. What can they do? Thank you.
Yeah, well, great question. And before I hand it over to our new minister, you know, there's a lot of things that we can do. First of all, it starts with a criminal code from the federal government. When we catch these people, these bad guys, because they're 99.9% are guys, you know, we need to throw them in jail. We don't need to throw them in jail for a day or 2 days. We need to send them to jail for years and keep them behind bars, because if there's a deterrent, people are going to think twice about breaking in to someone's home. And it starts with a criminal code, then it starts with our judges and our JPs. We can't be letting these criminals out on the streets. You know, I use this example. Many doors get kicked in, guns are put to people's heads. Terrifying experience. And guess what? The guy's back out on the streets to repeat the same crime he did the night before, because we have a weak system, weak criminal system. You know, you try to do this down in the States, two things are going to happen. You're getting caught and you're going to jail for years, or the homeowner is going to shoot you, one of the two. And I'd rather keep guns out of communities, and I'd rather really support our police that we're putting a lot more money into guns and gangs across the region, and just supporting our police. But the judges and the JPs have to keep them in jail, and the federal government has to change the criminal code. Simple as that. And I'll pass it over to Minister McGregor for his comments.
Yeah, thanks for that, Premier. And the Premier's bang on. You know, your question is something that we're seeing here in Peel. While we have a lot of these home invasions and carjackings and violent crime are linked to the auto theft problem. And while we've seen auto theft decline about 14% across the province, about 9% here in Peel, we've seen a large increase in the violent interactions. So there's two ways they kind of steal cars. One is out of your driveway in the middle of the night. The other is, you know, at your car or at your home with a weapon saying, you know, give me the keys. And we've been investing in police through the auto theft, the Protecting Against Auto Theft grant, through the STEP program, through the CISO, bolstering the Criminal Intelligence Service Ontario. We've seen some good results. Namely, here in Peel, we saw Project Warlock, 18 individuals, 150 criminal code charges that were laid for violent carjackings, home invasions. One case where somebody's literally woken up with a gun to their head, saying, give me the keys to your car. Police are doing their job, we're resourcing them properly, but by the time we were announcing the results of Project Warlock here in Peel, 9 of the 18 individuals were already out on bail. We can't have the same slap on the wrist system, violent offenders getting out 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different times to commit the same offenses. And the Premier is exactly bang on with his comment. This, while politicians can't order judges, federal politicians do write the criminal code. And we've been calling on our friends in Ottawa to implement meaningful bail reform. They've taken a few steps, but they need to do more. And rest assured, this is something that our government's on top of, and we're all over it. Thank you.
My next question is for Minister Sarkaria, and Premier Ford can also comment on that. Ontario is the only province where a visitor can take a commercial truck driving license. And we can't say nobody knows it, everybody knows it. Why can't we ban that visitor? Because many of the accidents we see on the highways, this may be one of the causes that untrained drivers are on our highways. And also in the Service Ontario, and where the driving license centers are there, many fraudulent people are operating, adding fake experiences, making dummy driver licenses. And we reported this to police also, gave the name of the those people, those who are doing this. So we need a legislation on this also, that these fraudulent people and these visitors, how can they drive commercial trucks on our highways? This is the biggest road safety issue. Thank you, Premier.
Well, thank you so much. I think it's a real skill set to be able to drive one of those tractor trailers. And they're big pieces of equipment, and you have to be qualified. It has to be legal. There's no lying on applications, or we need to deal with it. It's very simple, and I know the minister's doing a great job. I've talked to him about the driving schools 100 times, about 100 times, and or 101 times. But I'll pass it over to the minister. He's quite familiar with this.
Thank you for the question. And obviously, a major issues are ensuring that safety on our highways, and something that we are absolutely going to be taking very seriously, reviewing all of our commercial licensing as well. And I know you've brought this up in the past as well before. First and foremost, we want to make sure from the comments with respect to any individuals involved on whether it be Service Ontario or drive test in any criminal manner, that will be investigated fully, and we will cooperate with if it's the police, our own internal ministry, to ensure that any sort of fraud is handled immediately. Visitors in this province or would be illegal to drive without a work permit. So absolutely, if there's any loopholes there, we'll definitely be fixing those and making sure that should not happen and cannot happen. And we will leave no stone unturned in ensuring that where that is occurring, it is investigated, and that we also come down very hard on that or move forward on legislation that would close that gap or restrict that from happening further in the province. So I will take that back and continue to work with our team to have a resolution very shortly. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Manan Gupta from Road Today. Since my colleague Nitin mentioned the issue about trucking licenses, it happens to be National Trucking Week, so a big shout out to our hundreds and thousands of trucking community, those who make things happen and get things delivered. Yeah. So my question related is to the infrastructure. Over the last few months, we have seen some extreme weather conditions and flash floods causing disruption to our infrastructures. Look at DVP, look at Union Station, look at major 400 series highways. So I was wondering if Minister of Infrastructure or Minister of Transportation or even the Premier could throw some light on what kind of mitigation measures we are looking at to reduce such disruptions at our major infrastructures, and also how come the future planning can be made ensure to such things don't happen.
Yeah, great question. I'm going to start off with Minister Surma and then over to
Thank you very much, and that is an excellent point. That is one of the reasons why we included stormwater infrastructure in the $970 million investment that we're seeing that Brampton, the city of Brampton, is benefiting from. Look, most of the sewer water infrastructure, stormwater infrastructure was built around the same time, and it's aged in the province. And municipalities need help. But municipalities also have to be leaders and have to take responsibility, like the city of Brampton, and make sure that they are investing constantly in replacing those pipes so that we can prevent flooding in homes, but also to help us grow in a responsible way. So that's why we included stormwater in the funding stream, and it will be included in the second intake, but we encourage municipalities to be responsible and to make sure that they're replacing those pipes annually, every single year.
Thank you very much. My follow-up question, the new school year is upon us, and congratulations to all the parents and students, those who are starting the new year. Even though the Ministry of Education has earmarked $80 million additional dollars towards student transportation funding, we are hearing reports from the School Bus Ontario Association that there is an acute funding shortage, and that might cause disruption and cancellation of many bus routes in different areas of the province. So I would like to request Premier Ford to instill confidence in parents and teachers so that there is no disruption to any safe student transportation policies out there. Thank you.
Well, first of all, thanks for the question. We've actually increased it. I'm going to have to check this number. I thought it was $30 million that we've increased it, but I'll double check that. But we have increased the funding for transportation. And Prab, I'm not too sure. Maybe Minister of Education would know, but I'll get that number for you by the end of this press conference there.
Good morning. This side is Tarun from Raj FM. So I would like to know about the timing of this new project and what is government trying to reduce the timing of land development.
Which one wants it? Go ahead, Mayor.
The timeline will be complete by 2028, but I think right now we're working on the ability to be able to accept housing applications in that process. But like I said, we're laser focused on getting housing built quickly, faster, more affordable. And so hopefully we can start that process of accepting applications while we are building this new infrastructure to handle those potential flooding issues and stormwater management challenges.
Red tape is always an issue for the developers, and what is government doing to tackle this issue?
Sorry, what was the question?
Red tape is always a matter of discussion. So what is government doing to reduce this issue?
Well, I hate red tape, and I know the Premier hates red tape, and Brampton, we're very proud to have been making the process as fast as possible. Our planning commissioner isn't here, but Steve Ganesh knows that there's that annual build list that ranks municipalities in terms of their timelines. A few years ago, we were 13th in the GTA. We're down to 4. Milton's still number 1, but I've got news for the Mayor of Milton. We're trying to catch him. So we want to be the fastest place, the easiest place to build housing for the families that need it.
Morning, Premier Richard Southern with 680 News Radio. Your government prevents the sale of cannabis close to schools and will soon prevent safe consumption sites from operating close to schools. This Thursday, however, more than 4,100 convenience stores will start selling alcohol. Many of them are located close to schools. My question, Premier, is why are 2 drugs not okay to be located close to schools, yet alcohol is statistically more dangerous?
Well, thanks for the question. We're really looking forward on Thursday, opening up the 4,000 stores to have convenience for people. And I don't think you can, Richard, let's be fair. You're comparing a convenience store to a safe consumption site, injection sites. Last time I checked, the convenience stores don't have needles lying around the front of their stores, and they're well equipped. They've dealt with everything from tobacco to lottery tickets, now beer and wine, and they're going to be very responsible. But there's absolutely no comparison, and I've never had more phone calls and support about closing down the safe consumption sites. I call them unsafe consumption sites, and reinvesting and making sure that we support these people, approximately $378 million, to get them social assistance, to make sure that they have housing, make sure that they have addiction treatment beds and detox beds. So that's what we're focusing on. And we're going to continue supporting these people, getting them back on the feet.
Premier, on another matter, you've conclusively on the record ruled out a fall election this year. I'm wondering, will you today conclusively on the record rule out a winter or spring election next year, sir?
Thanks for that. We aren't having an election this year, so we're going to continue making sure that we focus on what the people of Ontario need, and that's good paying jobs, making sure we have good health care, good education, good infrastructure, and that's what we're going to continue doing.
Hey, good morning, Premier. Colin DeMello from Global News. Just on that vein, so you've given your cabinet ministers and MPPs a deadline by sometime in December to let you know whether or not they want to run again. Why would you give them that deadline if you're not planning on holding an early election?
Well, you always have to be prepared. That's what it comes down to. No matter which way you look at it, we aren't too far from any election, no matter if it's next year, the following year. And we have to know where we're moving and going and making sure we have good candidates. I'm blessed to have one of the best caucus and cabinets that I've ever seen in politics. Let's keep in mind, last election, 2022, there was 18 MPPs that didn't run, and we ended up with 26 new MPPs, and they're incredible people. I'm fortunate to have them on our team, and a couple of them are with me today. I'm just blessed to have the talent that I have around the table.
Typically, though, that process of opening up nominations, checking in with your cabinet and caucus, that process only happens 6 to 8 months before an election. And the next election is scheduled for June of 2026. So, to Richard Southern's question, so you've eliminated 2024. Yep. Will there be a provincial election in 2025?
I'll make you a deal. You will be the first person I call, and Richard will be the second person I call when we decide when and how we're going to call the election.
Can you give me your thought process, though,
on
what you're, but can you give me your thought process, though, on what you're thinking about? Like, is that on the table? And if so, what would be the reason for it being on the table?
Well, again, I appreciate the question, but we're going to focus on what people want right now, and that's a good paying job, making sure that we do the infrastructure right across the province that people need by building the hospitals and the schools. And the good news is, folks, in 6 years, we're the only government in history, we've never raised your taxes, ever, and we never will raise your taxes. We believe in getting more revenue through growth. We've seen over $64 billion of growth over the last 6 years, and we're going to keep reinvesting it into the people and into jobs and opportunities in the economy. That's what we're going to continue doing, being the leader in the world when it comes to energy, nuclear energy, and the largest subway project in North America, and one of the largest infrastructure projects in North America as well. So we have lots of room for improvement. I always say continuous improvement, but my goodness, the people of Ontario have done a great job. All you have to do is talk to people around the world and ask them how it's going. We live in the greatest jurisdiction anywhere in the entire world, right here in Ontario.
Hi, Premier. Lorenda Redikoff with CBC News. We heard the Transportation Minister mention Highway 413. We know there is that memorandum of understanding with the feds, but we keep hearing about different endangered species. The most recent one is this little fish that lives around that proposed route. Some environmental groups involved feel that this could put the brakes on the project. What is happening with that? We know that memorandum of understanding does not negate the Species at Risk Act. If I could hear from you and perhaps the minister as well.
Well, before I pass to the minister, we're going to work collaboratively with the federal government. We always work collaboratively with the Minister of Environment when it comes to species at risk. Something I don't remember seeing rivers or creeks that fish are floating in, grasshoppers and everything else you can think of. And last time I checked, the grasshopper, when I talked to him, he can jump from one side of the highway to the other side of the highway and get out of the way. But we live in 1,070,000 square kilometers. I want to get their philosophy at, species at risk. How do they measure it? Just imagine 1,070,000 square kilometers, and we're taking a little strip for transportation. Someone needs to explain it to me. But anyways, don't even get me going on these species at risk here.
As the Premier said, we have a collaborative working relationship on the federal working group that has been put together. But Ontario has the highest standards for the environmental assessment. This route has been studied for 15 years, and people want us to build the 413. We received the largest mandate in this province on the back of this highway. Right here, I've got two colleagues joining me today, Minister Graham McGregor, Minister Charmaine Williams, who were elected on this promise to build the 413. Gridlock is at an all-time high. We committed to the people of this province that we're going to build it. It's one of the most popular projects in the region and in the province, and from an economic perspective, it will bring significant opportunity not only to Peel, York, but this entire region. So we'll continue to work, through the process, but we're getting shovels in the ground next year, and we're going to build this Highway 413 for generations to come.
Premier, we've heard you talk a lot about these safe consumption sites. Have you ever visited one of those sites?
No, I haven't.
Has your health minister?
Yes, I'm sure she has.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I actually have a question for Minister Surma, please. Two questions. Siobhan Morris from CTV, Minister. Documents from the City of Toronto show that the Science Centre received 4 rejection letters in a Toronto building permit application to fix part of the roof of the Science Centre back in June. What significance did that have in the decision to ultimately shut down the building?
Well, the engineering report was of most significance because it outlined the fact that there was risk. And we knew that the summer season was coming. We knew that children were going to be coming in and out of the building throughout the day. And so we shared the information with the board, and the board made a decision to close the Science Centre down again. It is an unfortunate circumstance, but now we're working together with the board on what a new Science Centre will be and an interim location.
Did the rejection, though, was that before or after that the decision, that engineering report had already been shared with the board then?
I'm not exactly familiar with the dates, but what I know is I received a report that clearly identified that there was serious risk, and we had to make sure that we prioritize the health and safety of the workers and the children and families that would be coming in and out of the building throughout the summer.
Still morning. Good morning, everyone. Andrew from CP24. I wanted to start off going not necessarily back to the announcement today, but extrapolating a little bit. So we talk about, Premier, you talk about how important it is getting shovels in the ground. Your quote as you ended your speech today was, "We're going to get it done." Yep. I just want to look at, there's 13,000 homes being proposed here. I don't know if it's going to fit into your government's deadline of 1.5 million homes by roughly the end of the decade. But housing starts right now are down. Time is running out to meet that promise. Do you have thoughts on where the weak link is here? Is it developers not getting what they need from levels of government? Is it a level of government? And is there anything more that you and your government can do?
Well, great question. I think a big part of it is the interest rates. When the interest rates are as high as they are right now, it's a challenge. It's a challenge for people to go out and get a mortgage. But when the interest rates are going to come down, I'm confident that they're going to come down, then that's a whole different story. But let's look at the City of Toronto. There's 212 cranes. In the GTA, there's about 315 cranes. Those cranes, there are more cranes there than New York City, Chicago, Dallas, LA, Honolulu, Seattle, all combined. So we're still moving forward. But there's a difference. This is the difference. When a municipality and the mayor and the council leading the charge, if they want to get something done, they can get it done. When there isn't a will, it's not going to happen. A perfect example of getting things done is with the mayor, Mayor Brown, and City Council here. And I could list off a few dozen other mayors. And then there's other municipalities. They don't want to build. Well, they're the first to go out there and say, we need more housing. But by the way, you aren't building in my area. You need to build somewhere else. And under Mayor Bonnie Crombie, Mississauga actually shrunk. Just think of that. In a building boom, in a population boom, Mississauga shrunk under Bonnie Crombie. Taxes went higher than they've ever in the history of Mississauga. It was poor leadership. That's the difference between a mayor like former Mayor Bonnie Crombie and the new great mayor that's there right now that's going to do an incredible job, and a great mayor like Patrick Brown. There's the difference. You can get it done if you want to get it done. You drive up and down the highways, there's more property, more land that you could ever shake a stick at. We need to continue building, get the red tape out of the way. If you want to build, you will build. Simple as that. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to add one thing in. As a stakeholder in this conversation for building housing, the province set an ambitious target, but we can hit it. Last year we were over 8,000 new housing starts. We have 10,000 now approved in the pipeline, and projects like this are going to enable more housing faster. It takes creativity to build housing, and that's what today's announcement is about, is giving us the tools as a municipality to be laser focused on building housing. And so I'm confident we can hit those targets. And I would note, in the last Stats Canada, we increased 10%. I think Mississauga declined actually 1%, but I know the new mayor is really focused on housing there. They've had a housing task force, and so here in Peel Region, Premier, rest assured that the tone is we can hit those targets, and the Building Faster Fund is certainly helping us as well.
This will be the last question.
And I want to thank Mayor Parrish, too, for moving the ball forward. and doing a great job, by the way.
And Premier, for my last question, we heard again about bail reform today. This wasn't going to be my question, but I think it needs to be.
Sure.
Now, you talk about criminals going free on bail, either ostensibly or potentially actually to reoffend. When I talk to attorneys, they remind me repeatedly how the vast majority of violent crimes already have a reverse onus as is. And as we think about this presumption of innocence that is the foundation of our criminal justice system, over 80% of people that are in Ontario jails at last count are there right now without actually having been convicted of a crime. They are waiting for trial. My question is Ontario prepared, if you get what you want and have this so-called bail reform, is Ontario prepared with already jails at overcapacity, and do you need to do more to ensure so many people, not as of yet convicted of crimes, are not languishing in jail waiting for trial?
Yeah, great question. I've given the directive to Solicitor General to scope new jails right across our province. We're already building a couple, one in Thunder Bay, one out east, but I've given that directive, so you'll be hearing about new jails being built. And as for the Attorney General, we're hiring more judges and JPs. The call for JPs are out there. We're hiring 25 new judges as well, and we'll get the backlog cases caught up. But there's absolutely no excuse why these people are getting out on bail, not once, numerous times. We need to hold them in jail as long as we possibly can. And then when they go to trial, they need to be, if convicted guilty, mind you, they need to go to jail for a long time. Stop being these bleeding hearts out there. Oh, little Johnny's going to do better. Oh, he's only put a gun to the person's head 18 times. Yeah, little Johnny's going to jail, and we need to throw the key away. Because I'm just sick and tired of the violence that's happening in this province, and we need the federal government to change the criminal code once and for all and stop being a bunch of bleeding hearts there, because people are fed up with this crime here. They're absolutely done with it.
Thank you.
Anything else? Anyway, great questions. Thank you so much, and have yourself a great day. Thank you.